Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my sexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, so subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So as you may know, I like to share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So if that sounds good, subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So, yes, yesterday I was very, very poorly, and when I say poorly, I was exhausted. Like, I couldn't really do anything apart from sit and watch movies. I couldn't even take a shower. And today I've been so much more productive. So, do you suffer with anxiety? Do you find your anxiety so difficult to enable you to do anything, and you're in such a highly anxiety induced state that it just is impossible to really get much done? If so, this video is for you. So I've got a number of issues going on at the moment, health-wise, that could be the reason as to why yesterday I was exhausted. One is I'm still recovering from a back injury, 2 broken bones in my spine. When you are in pain and you're recovering from an injury like that, of course, that's going to take more energy and zap it. The night before, I was doing a lot of strenuous exercises. So that can obviously lead to me having less energy. I also had on the blood test come up a problem with my thyroid, but not enough to be diagnosed with hypothyroidism. So my TSH levels were high. On the scale, it was which goes up to 4 something, it was 7 something, but my TS4 was still okay. So this basically means I've got the beginnings of hypothyroidism. And I had this problem years ago, but I solved it myself with having kelp, which is made of seaweed, obviously, and it's got loads of iodine in it, because I found iodine is what's lacking that you need to correct the problem. So I've been taking kelp for over 10 years, but this year something must have gone wrong and it's not working like it usually does. So anyway, having to find more products now to help me with that. But having said this, one thing that I know, this is from my own research and personal experience, I am not a medical practitioner, I am not a doctor. You should consult one of them before you do anything to do with your thyroid, take any medication or do any natural stuff, right? Have to say that. So I have done research, obviously, into problems with thyroid more and more lately. I sometimes get so obsessed I spend hours, and yesterday I was trying to find health products to help me with what's currently going on with me. So I spent about 7 hours actually looking for health products. So although I was exhausted, is the exhaustion actually exhaustion, or is it exhaustion from looking for health products and researching about them for hours? Is the exhaustion from that, or was I already exhausted before? I have to ask myself this and reflect. I think it was both. And so it's very tiring. So anyway, I've ordered additional product to Amazon to what I usually do. Right. So with the thyroid, I found out that one of the things that stops it working properly is stress. And stress causes high cortisol levels, which stops the thyroid from working correctly. Right. It stops it. I've also had gut issues over the last few months. So I'm working on to correct with natural stuff as well. And so from my research, about 25% of the gut is related to making sure that the thyroid functions properly. Like the thyroid and gut affect each other by about 25%. If the gut's not working right, then it can have an huge impact on the thyroid, right? So this is not good news for me, because I've got a number of factors that go on. Now, when I said stress, obviously, if you suffer with anxiety like I do, I've got generalized anxiety disorder, which is not something I specifically go into details about all the time on this channel, but I have talked about it somewhat, is that the anxiety can make you so anxiety induced that you go into a fight or flight response in your body, which automatically releases cortisol, because it's basically you're in a stress state. And this obviously is then going to affect the thyroid. So all these accumulation of things yesterday, I think, is why I was completely exhausted. I don't fully feel myself, but I'm a lot better today than I was yesterday. But I'm trying to make myself better, if you know what I mean. It's not like it's effortless for me. I'm having to do things purposely to push my life forward and to not be in an anxiety induced state. So when I was reflecting last night, I do think some of it's got to do with thyroid. I do, but I think that some of the problem with my thyroid is directly related to the fact that am experiencing stress for anxiety, and I had to self-reflect. So sometimes we have things going on subconsciously that our conscious mind is not actively aware of, and it's only when we reflect and we begin to ask ourselves questions like, so why is it that? Why is it that? What's really going on? Which one is it? And you go through all these list of things that you then begin to realize, oh, I think this is a problem. So yesterday, when I was thinking at night, I'm like, your body is feeling like it's so anxiety induced. Like, and I'm thinking, what happened the night before? Like, I was feeling good the night before yesterday. So what went on? What changed from that night to the next night? And the answer was I applied to be a speaker. And last time I was actually a speaker was at Oxford University last year in October, and it was such an anxiety-inducing time. I actually speak about this in my Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, but part of that's given over to the anxiety I felt when I was speaking, as much as I loved to do the speaking. So I think this is really important to know, because I applied to be a speaker and I was experiencing anxiety at the time, but the thing is, I believe I'm born to speak. I visualize myself speaking on stage, even in London, and being calm about it, which I'm not currently, and being like in my element, and just it being very natural to me and being very confident on stage. So I can actually visualize that. I can't actually visualize many things like other people can. I have a problem with visualization, but that has always been a really strong thing. Even though I'm talking about it now, I can see myself on stage talking, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Really, I can put, I think it's to do with books. I think I have 50 books out, which I haven't got 50 books out at the moment, but because I see that in my vision sometimes, but I don't actually feel that way at the moment. And if you're trying to change yourself, better yourself, become a new version of you, you have to try and picture how it would be if you were that thing that you want to become. However, as an anxious person, I have to deal with the reality of now. I can't, although I can visualize that and I want that for myself, that's not my current reality. So when I analyzed myself last night, I'm like, hang on, your tummy doesn't feel good. I had problems with my digestion again yesterday, which was, I thought it was getting better. Then all of a sudden it started to come back again, like worse. And I'm like, what was it? I'm like, oh, as soon after you applied for the speaker, you actually started getting dizzy. You actually started feeling really anxious. And I thought that was like temporary in that moment, because I'd done other things. I was able to do work after that. I was able to do other things. I just didn't think about it too much. I applied for it. I was thinking, should I apply for it or not? Because the thing is, it's going to be highly anxiety inducing for me, right? But if I don't do things that I think I'm supposed to do and let anxiety win over me, you could argue, then I'll never get things done in my life that I really think I'd be good at and want to do. However, there's this other side of me that's like, well, are you really listening to yourself? Are you being caring and compassionate, kind towards yourself, and giving yourself a break that, yes, you have anxiety, so maybe you shouldn't do that thing because you don't want to be in a highly anxiety induced state. I don't even know if I'm going to get to be a speaker. It's it's something that I haven't even got an answer for yet. Right, but even that not knowing of whether I get to be it or not is still anxiety inducing for me. It's like fear of the unknown and anticipation. Will I get it or not? Because if I do get it, then I have to flesh my full speech out, right? But in my mind and in my logical mind, when I'm not putting anxiety emotion into it, I'm like thinking, well, I think I'll be really good at it. I definitely think it's a talk you should do. I think that's the future. I think it will open so many doors for you, Sandra, and be such a wonderful opportunity if you get the talk. And I think you'll do a really good job at it. Right. So if I put my logical mind on, not my anxiety emotional state on, I'm thinking this is going to be like one of the best opportunities ever. You're going to rock it. You're going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. It's going to be natural, this talk to you, even though you've not done this one before. And it's just going to be something you're born to do, but didn't realize it, right? It's one of those moments, right? So when I put my logical brain on, I'm like really enthusiastic and I'm hoping I really get this speaking gig, if you like. I'm really hoping I get it. I hope I get the actual, because there is opportunities to do other speaking things on a smaller scale, but I want to go to the actual big scale. I want to do the one that's in front of all the audience, right? Which might sound weird, but sometimes with my anxiety, it's like when I'm dancing, I'd rather be up on stage doing the dancing, like the stage part, when everyone's able to see me, than I will further down, lower in the background. That might seem weird, and that's not what I was like years ago when I had huge social anxiety and couldn't even be in those types of rooms and events. But I'm kind of like a all or nothing girl sometimes. I'm like, go big or go home, go large or go home. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of my mindset sometimes. I'm like, you want to be on the stage, girl. You want to be at the forefront of everyone. You want to be the leader. You want to be that person. You don't want to be the person in the back of a room or the person doing small things. You want to skip straight to the big things, because you're born to do that. You're born to speak on stage. You're born to speak, Sandra. So this is my logical mind. This is what my intuition tells me to do. This is what my brain tells me to do. But then when I get into my physiology state, my actual physiology doesn't line up with that. This is why we don't always get the opportunities when we want them, because subconsciously there's some subconscious that says, well, I don't actually want it. It's going to actually really anxiety induce me. It's going to cause a lot of anxiety leading up to it. Why put myself through that shite in terms of anxiety? And why put myself through that worry? You should just like say, look, I applied, but I can't do it because I believe I'm meant to do it. My logical mind takes me back over, says, well, I'm meant to do it, right? But in those moments, I'm like, well, it's so anxiety inducing. If you just eliminate the trigger, which is the whole possibly doing the talk, then you can just go back to being calm in your system. Then you can live happily. You don't have to worry about this. And that might be the best thing for me to do in some ways, because, you know, like I know that once the trigger's gone, then I'm not being triggered anymore and I can relax, and then my energy can come back, my blood sugar levels can come back, I can not get dizzy, all these symptoms that I'm experiencing are anxiety, right? With anxiety, in case you didn't know, but I know a lot of people in the asexual community do have anxiety, you know, it can give you so many weird sensations. You can get, I get low blood pressure sometimes. Obviously, some people get high blood pressure because they're stressed. Some people get low blood pressure. Some people have like pins and needles in their fingers and other parts of their body. Their hands go numb. You can get chest pain. Your heart can beat really fast. You can hyperventilate. You can have a panic attack. It feels like a piece of lead is actually on you and squishing you into the ground. It feels like there's something on you and it's fixated on you and you can't get it off you. It's really hard. And, you know, it's not always easy to admit, is it, when you're in a highly anxiety-induced state? But I realized last night, I'm like, God, you're in a really highly anxiety-induced state, Sandra. Like, what's going on? I didn't even realize it, but it wasn't until I tapped in to my actual tummy and can feel it's in knots and can feel like it's tense like this. I'm like in fight or flight, about to flee, you know, like this all the time. I'm like, oh God, no wonder you're exhausted, because this takes all your energy and resources, because your body's in fight or flight and it's actually in that state. It takes all your resources. You know, your heart pumps faster. You're getting ready to leap and run away. All your blood drains from your fingers. I'm not a medical practitioner. You can research all this stuff yourself just to make sure of what I'm saying is true, or even not true. If you think I'm not telling the truth, or I've missed a thing, please put it in the comments. But, you know, fingertips, like the blood can go from your fingertips because it needs to be in the organs to pump fast, to run and stuff like this. So it can cause big physiological problems. And it's, for me, it often becomes these days an automatic response. I've noticed this year my physiology has changed to the point where a lot of the anxiety I really can't control. That's what it feels like. It feels it's totally out of control and it's just automatic. And there's nothing I can do about it. So even if my brain's thinking one thing, my body's doing another thing, right? But subconsciously, I'm anxious about the talk because I had a talk to myself. I'm like, well, what are you worried about? I'm like, I'm worried about the talk. I'm like, but you haven't even given the talk. You might not be accepted. You know, because you're going to be talking about, you know, the talk I've applied for is to do with technology. and social media, but it's to do with creating a personal brand, basically, because obviously that's what I've done on this channel. But I'll be talking about asexuality because I'll be talking about this channel as well, which is very unusual, isn't it? But I don't know that I'll get accepted anyway, because obviously some of the talk's going to be about asexuality, and some people aren't open-minded about that, even though the event is open to every sexual orientation. So, and obviously I do have anxiety, right? But I know that if I get chosen to be a speaker, then part of me is going to be so excited because it's going to be like one of the greatest opportunities ever for me. And I love talking about technology. I love talking about social media. I was given the title of top social media marketing voice on LinkedIn last year. For a while, I talk about this in my Diary Confessions book. And so you know what I mean? It's just like, I know that I'll be happy to get it. But at the same time, I know it's anxiety inducing. But the trouble is, if you allow your anxiety to take over you and you stop yourself doing things because of it, then you've got a real problem, right? So with me, it's hard because it's like the last anxiety inducing thing I had was a blood test, which was horrendous. And after that, I thought, fine, all I do now is focus on my books, writing, publishing, helping asexuals, and this is it. And it's going to be a lot more smoother and easier in that way. And some podcasts maybe go on and stuff like that, right? But then this opportunity to do the talk came up, and I'm like, well, you've got to go for it, because logically, career-wise, it's going to be a good move, and I don't want to regret anything in my life and not doing things in my life just because I have anxiety, right? Because that's, to me, is like letting the anxiety win and stopping me from actually succeeding in life and moving my life forward. Do you see what I mean? So we have to be consciously aware of what's actually the underlying problem or problems, rather than just what seems like it's on the surface. Okay, so I said in this video I'm going to be talking to you about how to get out of a highly anxiety induced state, right? And the reason I know how to do this is because I've been doing it myself today, right? So that I'm able to do things. So yesterday I had to give myself, like I said, I don't think it was all to do with anxiety. I think, the back injury, the fact that I've got a thyroid issue, but it's really exacerbated by anxiety, So all of these things, and the exercise I did the night before, all these things are very exhausting. Also, I think maybe there was some vitamins lacking yesterday, or some things I was eating, right? Because what you eat, again, changes your state of being, changes how you feel and how you think. So, I was busy testing my temperature last night, my blood pressure last night, but they were okay actually. My pulse was like 63, but that was in a resting state. So, because my throat started to get a bit sore last night. I think, am I coming down with the virus? Because obviously, if you have got a virus in your body, then, which I'm not saying I have, but I just felt, is that a possibility? Then that can exhaust you as well. So there's lots of reasons for exhaustion, not just anxiety. But after analysing, I thought, yes, you're anxiety induced. So what I did yesterday is I had to sit with it, because sometimes you just have to sit with the issue. You can't actually get yourself out there and then, and in terms of fully out of it. So what I did yesterday, I sat with it last night. I thought, you're anxiety induced, right? The best thing you can do is distraction, because a lot of the other things, the techniques that people use, don't work for me. So you can do mindfulness. And the problem with mindfulness is, if you're feeling in that present moment anxious, very, very anxious, and you're being mindful of the present moment, then it can make you more mindful of the anxiety you're feeling. This is why mindfulness doesn't always work with people who've got certain mental health difficulties and problems, like, for example, anxiety. Like I just said, the reason why is like, be mindful. Like, if you're being mindful about how you currently feel and you're feeling anxiety induced, it's going to focus it more, right? So that doesn't work for me in that way. I think if you're mindful but you're focusing in the present on different things, then that can work, and does work sometimes, right? So last night I just thought I need to take time off. I was really exhausted. I couldn't even do my show last night. I couldn't even get in the shower yesterday. That was how bad it was for me. So I just gave myself some grace, gave myself some time off, and I watched 2 movies, right? Because it helps. Distraction, I found, is the number one thing, personally for me, that helps me get out of a highly anxiety-induced state to the point where I can barely do anything. Like, it helps alleviate some of that anxiety, it helps alleviate some of that stress, because if I'm taking my mind off it, I'm not thinking about it and bringing it to conscious thought and attention. The less attention I give it, the less it snowballs out of control, because when we give anxiety attention, it then ends up snowballing out of control, right? But at the same time, if we completely ignore it, it will still be there in our physiology anyway, unconsciously, and still creating issues for us. So there's no getting away from it. We have to face it, but it's how we face it and tackle it that's important. So for me, the number one go-to is distraction. Distraction is usually the one thing that works the majority of the time, but even distraction doesn't always work, because my mind can then bring me back to the thing that I'm trying to distract my mind away from. But it allows me to have some time away from it, because I often find distraction, right? I'm still thinking about the thing, then I'm going off just and I think about something else, and then all of a sudden I'll come back to that thing. Oh, I stopped thinking about it, and then think about it again, but then I stop thinking about it again. So it gives me some break and reprieve, even if it doesn't completely stop the issue, right? So distraction, I would say, is the number one thing, right? To get rid of anxiety, along with journaling. I think journaling is very important. So we have to kind of face the emotions and get it out, as well as distract our mind from it. So yesterday I had to sit with the knowledge that I was in a highly anxiety induced state, which I hadn't actually realized that my body was in fight or flight mode. But then I had a lot of symptoms yesterday where I felt so weak, and you know what I mean? I could feel it in my body, in my tummy. So my gut wasn't feeling good last night, and so there was a lot of gastric, well, not loads, but there was some gastric issues last night, and all this is because I've had problems with my digestion anyway recently, but this was just getting better and then it got worse again. So I think when you're in that state and you can't do anything, you can't, I felt upset that I couldn't do things. I was nearly in tears, to be honest, but I'm thinking, well, the 2 days before you did loads, Sandra. And actually, it's not like you've been doing nothing anyway, because you've spent like about 7 hours nearly looking and researching about products for your health. So at the moment, because I've got so many health issues, health does take over my life. I become obsessed with finding out solutions, and I have to be that way, because I have to get myself better. I can't stay being ill. I mean, I've had a lot of illness since the beginning of this year, even from last year, right? And I can't continue to have health issues. For me, it's I'm determined to stop as many as possible, right? So that means I have to get obsessed about it. And obsession is exhausting, right? We have to be obsessed about the things that are good for us, as in solving our health issues, right? But we also have to give ourselves breaks. But I had to buy some health products from Amazon anyway, that I usually buy for myself. And I had to decide on what other new thing I needed to counteract and solve my current issues. And it required looking at a lot of different ingredients to find the best fit, which would maximize my health without buying tons of products. Like, I would be able to get a lot of the stuff I need in one product, basically. And that's hard. And, I had to compare products, write down like the different ingredients and compare them and all this sort, you know what I mean? And it's nothing quite 100% fits, if you know what I mean. So that's not so good. But the reviews are always very useful. And so I go by the reviews. If a person's got similar problems to me or the same problems as me, then I'm going to more likely get that product, because it's recommended based on the issues that I have and they say it worked for them. So I want you to know, though, it's okay if you have a complete day off and you don't do much, right? I know it can get frustrating. I'm just being honest with you. I was upset. I was frustrated with myself. I'm like, I haven't really done anything. I wanted to be productive today and I wasn't. So that's okay. We have to give ourselves some slack. And if we do get upset with ourselves, we have to just say it's okay, right? It's okay to have time out, because we need that relaxation and recuperation time. We need to be able to get our mind off our problems. We need to be able to just chill the heck out. So do that. Then today, I was doing positive affirmations, which I do every morning. And I did a longer version of this. So I go to Bob Baker so bobbakerinspiration.com is a website he has, but Bob Baker Inspirations, well, it's Bob Baker Affirmations, I should say, on YouTube. You can look it up on YouTube. Bob Baker Affirmations. I listen to him every morning. Now, sometimes I listen to his affirmations, some of them more than others, and I tend to change them around because otherwise your brain gets used to something and it doesn't necessarily take it in. So listen to affirmations. I think it's really important, but sometimes it doesn't always fully work like you wished it to. So then after that, I actually listened to a video because he does personal development and business videos as well. And one of the things he was saying is like, do affirmations and then journal. And you can do gratitude journal, but also journal about your feelings and stuff. And I realized that that's something I used to do. I journal and get my feelings and emotions out, because when you journal, it helps release them. So if you're feeling anxious, it's a really good thing to write down, I'm feeling anxious, why you're feeling anxious, what the actual problem is, what you're scared about that will happen or not happen, and just how you feel in general, because your journal is like a listening ear to you, if you like. And so by getting this out, it's very, very good. So I did that, and then I felt like I needed to do some exercise because I haven't done any for the last couple of days. Now, this was a bit of an effort, so I had to purposely go and do some exercises. I actually did a bit of filing as well. I think, did I do the filing first? I think I did the filing first because I had it open downstairs. So it helps if you've got a project or something you were doing the previous night to keep it open. Like if you've got a book you're reading, keep it open on the page. If you've got some work you're working on the computer, keep it open. So everything when you're anxiety induced is more of an effort, right? It's a struggle. So if you have something that's already prepared and open on the place you need it to be, then it's a lot easier for you to just get on and carry on that thing. If the thing's actually closed and you have to set it all up again, like a Word document, for example, on your computer, and you have to reopen it all again, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get back into doing that thing. So please, like, try and leave some stuff open for another day so you can just hop on it and go and do it, right? So I did some finding, and then I heard the music, and then I came upstairs and thought I'm going to do a bit of dancing, see if I can do some dancing, because my back's been recovering from a back injury, and then try and do some exercise as well, because I've been reading a health book quite a bit lately. It's called The Diet Doctor, actually, but it's not about specific diets as such. It's about the foods you eat and the vitamins and what they do to the body, how they help the body heal. But it does have something about exercise, and it says it's better to do like 30-minute it's better to do 3 lots of 20 minutes exercise, up to 4 lots of 20 minutes exercise, hard hitting like exercise, so where you really get your heart pumping in those 20 minutes, than it is to do like an hour of cardiovascular. That's the secret to burning fat and having increasing your metabolic rate, is to do like 20 minutes of intense exercise where you're doing loads and loads to really get the sweat on, basically. So I was trying to do more strenuous exercise again today, more vigorous ones. But obviously, if I've got an injured back, it does limit it. I can't fully do everything vigorously because I might put my back in a worse position again. So I did half an hour of that or over. So I felt good about that. And I was putting my headphones on and I was trying just to not think about things. So I was doing stuff to take my mind off. So I found that effectively putting affirmations, positive stuff in your brain was good. Then journaling to getting out all your anxieties as much as possible is good. Then doing something that didn't require much thought at all. So all these are connected to your thoughts, because it's your thoughts that's creating the anxiety, right? So if we change our state, our physiology, and we change what we do, we change our routine, or we change basically our state of being, then we can kind of counteract some of the anxiety. This is how you do it, right? So affirmations first, journal second. If you've got a really easy task to do that doesn't require any brain work, but will make you feel good that you've just accomplished something, go and do that. Maybe it's just dusting a shelf or something, pulling the ornaments off and putting them back, because you don't really have to think about that, right? But you want to be doing something where you've got to pay a little bit of attention, because otherwise in your mind you're just going to be thinking about the anxiety inducing thing that you don't want to think about. So I just did some filing. It was paperwork filing from my accounts, basically. So I did some of that, and then I came up and did exercise. Now, exercise is really good for the body. It's apparently very good for thyroid. And I have to do exercise anyway for my back, but if I get so exhausted I can't do them. So put some of your favorite music on, something that's not depressing, that's not down, something that's energetic, high vibration, to lift your energy up, to make sure you're lifting your energy up, to lift your spirits up, to feel more positive about your life, and to help take your mind off the negativity that you feel about not being able to cope very easily with the stress situations or situation that you're currently in, right? It's all about trying to make yourself feel better so that you're able to get on with your day and do more stuff. So I did all that, and then I had, like I said, keep stuff open. I had on my laptop, which my music was playing on, which I was doing the exercises from. So the music on the laptop with the headphones on some of the time, not at the beginning. Then I put my headphones on, and then my laptop was in front of me, and then all I did is switch screens, still having the music in the background after I'd done a lot of exercises, and then my Asexuality book was open, and I started typing a little bit, and I just got carried away with it, which is great, because one thing led to another. So, like I said, it's really good if you already have the thing open, because then you don't need to be thinking and worrying about and procrastinating, which makes your anxiety worse, about, oh, I'm having to open this thing, I'm having to do this, do that. Right, my at the moment, this is open all the time on my laptop. This is how you increase your productivity in life as well, by having stuff open. Because we're taught, like, in a work situation, we're taught, like, to do things, and by the end of the night it should all be done, the work, and then you close your file or whatever, you close your computer down, and it's all done, ready for the next day to all be opened up again. But that actually hampers your productivity. If you already have stuff open that you need to finish from the day before, it's less steps you have to go through to carry on that work. So therefore, it increases your productivity automatically. When you increase your productivity, you feel accomplished. When you feel accomplished, you feel better about yourself. And this lowers your anxiety, because you realize you're able to cope with things more. And so therefore, it increases your belief in yourself to be able to get stuff done and come out the other side, right? So this all has a knock-on effect. You see this, right? This is so important. This is something that not many people teach in productivity, but it's essential. Right? People teach you shut all your things away. Yes, I close the lid on my laptop, and I end with positive affirmations usually at night as well. So I put it on positive affirmations. I listen to affirmations as much as possible. And then just before I'm about to fall asleep, I flip the lid over. I actually have my laptop on my double bed with me to do that. Otherwise, if I'm going to pick my laptop up and put it away on a shelf, it means I'm going to wake up again from the affirmations, right? So instead, I like sleep with my laptop. I know that doesn't anxiety induce me. It actually makes me feel good sleeping with my laptop next, because the next day I could just open it up again and get on with stuff, right? And listen to the affirmations again. I have to listen to affirmations every time I wake up to instill positive stuff in me. So then after like I said, before I went in the shower, I was typing away, and I was like, this is so good. I didn't really want to stop. I had to take a shower. So I went to take a shower because I couldn't have one yesterday. That was hard, because it's more of an effort going in the shower. You have to do a lot more things. It's hot water. You can't eat or get drink in there. There's a lot of routine I have. I take at least 40 minutes in the shower, right? Because I've got fibromyalgia disability. I've got back injuries that I'm healing from. And if I haven't been in the shower like the day before, then I got more stuff to clean, if you know what I mean. And I usually shave every day I'm in the shower. I'm quite particular about doing that. That takes a long time. My mum doesn't understand it. She's like, why do you have to shave all your arms, not just under your arms? Why do you have to shave every day? I'm like, because I like to, otherwise I'm like a prickly hedgehog. But there we go. I shave more than most guys, I think. But not every guy. Some guys shave every day, but I've met guys that don't. Anyway, so I went in the shower, and what I thought when I was in the shower, before I got in the shower, is I will reward myself for being productive today, from getting through last night, and being hugely productive today. Because to say I did really nothing yesterday, well, it wasn't nothing. I was on, like I said, trying to find out about health products for 7+ hours, but because it wasn't actually work, as in anything to help asexuals, as in it wasn't any writing, it wasn't any actually there was something I have to tell you about, but it wasn't any writing or anything. But before I fell asleep last night, which is very important to me, I was able to just write a few words of my Asexuality book. So I've written more today, but last night, in the early hours of this morning, it's like 4:19 when I went to sleep this morning, AM, right? And I thought, because I was feeling overwhelmed with everything. So part of anxiety is overwhelm, right? And it wasn't just the speaking position I've applied for. It was the fact that I was feeling that was the instigator of it. That was the main cause of my anxiety. But I've just been feeling overwhelmed lately because my goal is to get 5 books out for Asexuals published by the end of this year. I've got 1 out so far. This one, bestseller though, and it's like I'm working on my Asexuality book now. I need to get that one out. And I remember someone asked me in one of my asexual groups, like, when is it going to be published? Because they want a copy. And I'm like, the 16th of September. And I forgot I'd said that to them. And I'm like, oh my God. Like yesterday, it was already the 3rd of September. So I'm starting to panic now. But at the end of the day, if I don't finish it by then, it's not the end of the world. It's not like the whole world's going to collapse, right? But I forgot I said that, and time's getting on. Plus my Diary Confessions workbook that goes with this book, but it's a book in and of itself. I got 2 more chapters of that to write. Then I got the corrections to do. Then I need to publish it, and then I got my Asexual Guide to Sex book to finish. I got to finish Diary Confessions book 2 ideally before Christmas. Well, so I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like, you've applied for a speaking position, which is going to take a lot of your anxiety time up, and you're going to have to craft the speech. Then you've got all this going on. Plus, I've also got something going on with the Experts Bureau, where they're going to pitch me to media, and I need to write a huge list out of like 100 places for them to pitch me to, and I haven't even started that yet. And so yeah, this is like overwhelm. When I think about this, it's overwhelming, right? It anxiety induces me. So that's no good. So last night I was thinking, just do 1 book at a time. Do your best, right? You're not gonna go into book jail just because you don't finish a book when you want to, right? It's not going to be the end of the world, right? You've just got to focus on 1 book, focus on doing the next few pages or next few lines. Even if you're anxiety induced, don't focus on too much. Just if you're working on a project, just think, I'm just going to do 1 little bit of it. Like with writing a book, I'm just going to focus on a few words. That's all I have to do to get started. Because what usually happens with the mind is, once you get started, especially if it's something you're passionate about, which I am, talking about asexuality, your brain automatically starts thinking, oh, well, I need to, because it allows you some creativity. Yeah. Because your brain isn't feeling like, oh, I got to do 50 pages. It's thinking all you have to do is a few words or a few sentences. That's all I want from you. That's it. Take the pressure off yourself, because sometimes, I know I do it, the pressure is too much for yourself to bear, and you're putting too much pressure on yourself, right? And it overwhelms you. So just think, whatever your project or thing you're working on, just think, I want to just do a little bit. So all I did last night before I went to sleep, I think I wrote more. I think I wrote 2 paragraphs or something in the end. But I was just really pleased with that, because I hadn't done any written work all day yesterday, and I was like, not happy with myself that I hadn't done that. And plus, it's harder to get into it again once you haven't done it. Even if it's just for a day you haven't done any of it, it's still harder, because you have to remember where you left off. You have to remember what you're talking about. You have to get back into the feeling of what you were doing when you were doing it. Because when I write a book, obviously, I'm conscious of the audience, of readers that's reading it. And if you change your tone, then they can tell that something's weird or amiss. So when you're writing, I write non-fiction books, it's got to be that the tone is kind of like, of course it goes up and down in tone to keep it interesting, but it's got to be like it's smooth transition, and it flows. And if you aren't in that headspace, if you are trying to get back into something and you can't get back that tone, it can be like something's gone on and something's wrong with wrong with the writer. Something's happened in their life. You can tell. Do you know what I mean? So in order for me to do that and get back into it, it's just like, all I have to do is say to myself, just write a few words. No pressure, just write a few words. So that's one of the things I would say as well. If you have a lot of anxiety or anxiety induced, is give yourself time out. You don't have to do anything at all. Have a day off. It's fine. But when you want to get back into doing something, rather than overwhelming yourself about everything you have to do, just think, I just want to focus on the one thing I've got to do now. I haven't got to worry about what I've got to do next week or 2 weeks. I just got to focus on the one thing I've got to do now, do my best. Health is first. Health is wealth. If I'm not healthy and I'm so stressed I can't do any work, then it's going to have a knock-on effect, right? So it's better for me to try and do something than do nothing, but not pressurize myself into doing too much at that time, right? Because if you pressurize yourself too much, you just don't want to do any of it, and you'll get iller, and then you won't be able to do any of it again, and then you'll just feel worse about yourself. So it's better just to say, I'll just do a few little bits. And like I said, keep it open, your laptop or whatever you're doing, keep the stuff open and ready to carry on with it the next day. It's like if you're painting a wall and you don't get a whole wall finished, you shouldn't pack all your stuff away. You should leave it there for the next day, that you can then go back and get on with it quicker. This is how we maximize our productivity time. Because if the stuff is already there, right, obviously if it's going to be in the way, you've got a dog or a kid and they're going to put the paint in their mouth, then of course you should tidy it away and not leave it lying around unsupervised, right? But if it's just you that lives there, right, then you don't need to put it away, do you? Right? If you're going to bump into it, then yes, you do. But use your common sense. But what I'm saying is, keep the things to hand that you're working on and keep them like they are, and go to sleep and then start again the next day. Don't get everything out from scratch, because it's just wasting time if you don't need to do that. And it is enabling you to procrastinate more and getting more stressed. I'm getting more stressed just talking about it, right? So please learn to do this. It's a really, really good thing to do. Equally important is, if you want to focus on a specific task on your laptop, then you need to close the other tabs down. Now, if you can't close the other tabs down because you need to work on them again soon, and closing them down, you'd have to search for it all again, create bookmarks on your laptop so that you can just go to the bookmark and open it up again, or get a Word document or notes or something. Put the HTTP address, which is the URL address, which is the web address if you don't know what that means, and copy and paste that in to notes, and then clear all your tabs, put them all down, and then just go to that one thing that's got all the notes in it, or that one Word document. Leave the Word document open, or the notes document open, or just close it for that period of time, or minimize it so it's not distracting you. And then you can just click through the links again and open them up. Because sometimes I'm like, well, I've got like 10 tabs open, and 6 of those are things I need to work on in the next few days. And if I close them, I'll have to find them all again. I can't remember all the web links, right? So this is what I do. So it's about like maximizing your time, being highly productive, which then allows you to have time off when your health is bad, when you're anxiety induced and you just can't do anything because you're exhausted, right? This is very important. And so what else? So I've gone through doing nothing yesterday to a lot today. So we've gone through the fact I did positive affirmations, and I did journaling to get the emotions out. Then I did some filing, because that was a thing that I didn't need to think about much, but it helped me to feel like I've done something. It wasn't loads of filing, it was just a bit, but it made me feel good because I've accomplished something. So give yourself some easy tasks to accomplish, some easy wins where you can feel really good about yourself, and you can feel like no overwhelm, and you can just think, oh my God, I've accomplished something. Because when we accomplish things, we relax more, and we're like, oh man, this is good. I can relax. I've finished that thing now. I've done it, right? So I've still got more filing to do, but I was able to do some, right? At the moment, I've currently got 2 files open downstairs, and I'm doing paperwork. I've been doing paperwork since Sunday for these files. I'm doing like a little bit every day because I am behind with it. And if I do it all at once, I can't do it all at once. It's too overwhelming for me. But by doing a bit each day, I'm just feeling good that I'm accomplishing that. I'm getting through it. I'm busting through it. Even if it is taking me a lot of time, it would take me even more if I decided that I was going to wait to do it, which I have been waiting because I've been procrastinating, right? So, it helps. So 2 files, I've got my desk open downstairs. I've got a workstation wardrobe. They're downstairs. So it's not in my living quarters. In terms of my bedroom, it's in my living quarters downstairs, my kitchen lounge area. But so it's keeping my bedroom as not seeing that, but it's also every time I go downstairs reminding me that I still need to work on that and do that stuff, right? So I did that, and then I also, like I said, I actually did print more stuff off as well. I forgot to say that I printed stuff off. And I did my exercises, some dancing, even with a back injury that I'm recovering from. And I also did some work, because while I was stood up, because I was very sweaty after my exercise, I was going to go in the shower straight away. And then I'm like, oh, but I've just remembered something I need to put in my asexuality book. So I started typing, and then I just ended up typing, and it ended up flowing. So then I ended up writing a lot, but this made me feel really good, because I'm like, I've been productive today. Go in the shower was an effort, but I made myself do it, right? And then I knew after I'd been in the shower that I wanted to reward myself. I was talking to you about this earlier, so I'll get on to this part of my day today, right? So I wanted to reward myself for accomplishing all those tasks. Plus, I've noticed when I'm indoors more, I get anxious more, because I'm thinking about my anxiety. I'm thinking about being anxious. I'm becoming consciously aware that my heartbeat is, I can hear my heartbeat more, or my heartbeat feels like it's getting faster or fluttering or doing weird stuff. That makes me more stressed. So then, like, it happens more. My fingertips start going numb. And being indoors all the time actually can make things worse, because it compounds the effect of the anxiety. So I'm like, you've got to go out today, son. You have to get food shopping anyway. You have to make yourself go out. You have to go out. So my reward was, I was going to eat a Chinese meal, because I like the Chinese food. It's really good, because it's a family run business where I go, usually in my city of Exeter, Tangshan, and they're very good at accommodating my dietary requirements, and it's not that expensive. I can chill out there, and that was going to be my reward. But I didn't know if they're going to be open, because sometimes they're not always open. And so I waited. I had my shower late, didn't have lunch. I waited till nearly 5 p.m. Well, it was after 5 p.m. by the time I came out of the shower, and to go to this place. And I went there. I took my shopping trolley, because I know I needed to get some shopping. I went there, and it was closed. Right now, I'm like, okay, Sandra, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to have to go shopping. I'm like, but you said you were going to treat yourself, reward yourself by going out. Now you're letting yourself down. I'm like, well, I haven't let myself. This is how I talk to myself. I'm like, well, I haven't let myself down. They've let me down because they're closed, but then haven't let me down because they're having a rest. They said on the door, they need to rest, which is like a human thing. Right? They're being authentic. And I'm like, but you promised yourself you'll go out. So you're just going to go home now and disappoint yourself. And you need to get out, because if you're out about eating and doing like a self date and making yourself feel good, you will feel better, which will lower your anxiety, which will lower your stress, which will enable you to do more things. Right? You need to be out more. You're an extrovert, and staying indoors in the dark, because a lot of the time in my bedroom it's very dark up here, not getting sunlight. Sunlight gives you vitamin D, right? Fresh air gives you oxygen, which is very important when you're having anxiety, because we tend to have less oxygen because we're not breathing much. Even my physio's told me this, because I have an anxiety condition. She's like told me, you need to breathe. I'm like, I didn't realize you could see that I'm not breathing. She's going, yeah. It sounds funny, doesn't it? But it's actually not, because I hold my breath a lot. I go like this. But most people, I don't realize other people can tell. Something I just naturally do a lot. So I have periods where I don't breathe a lot, I think. My dad actually has sleep apnea, but where he stops complete breathing in his sleep. But now he's on oxygen permanently. In case you didn't know, he's rushed into hospital in January on permanent oxygen now. So the oxygen allows him to breathe properly at night. So one of his lungs basically doesn't work, or it's both his lungs. His lungs don't work properly anymore, basically. So he's on that permanently for life now. So that's hard. But he's alive, thank God, with my mum. So yes. I digress. But anyway, so I'm like, what are you going to do? Because one thing I didn't like as a child, if I'm honest, is when I was promised to go somewhere and the person changed their mind. I hate that. I think it's a real cop out. I feel hugely disappointed. I feel like I feel like I've been betrayed, maybe. I feel like I've been promised something that didn't be fulfilled. And it's not nice. I don't like that feeling. My needs are, if I say something's going to happen, or if one says something's going to happen, unless there's any specifically reason why I can't go to that thing, as in the place is shut like today, or it's closed down, or something else has gone on, like there's been a death, or there's some problem with the public transport, right? Then I personally, my needs, because it's good to understand your own needs, is that I need to go and do that thing. So I'm like, okay, well, you can go home. You can do your shopping, you go home, or you can try and find somewhere else to eat. So you're still rewarding yourself. Because otherwise, I felt like I'm letting myself down. Because if someone does that to me, I feel like they're letting me down. And and it doesn't feel good. It feels like unrewarding. It feels unfulfilling. It feels like, something's being taken away from me. It's a bit like a carrot dangling to a rabbit, and then all of a sudden the carrot's taken away. What's that rabbit gonna do? It's like where's my food? I want that food. I was promised that food. I'm hungry. Give me that food. And I think it's cruel, right, to do that. So I'm like, okay. Like, obviously, I could have gone home because it's not my fault. The place is shut, and I thought about going to Nando's, but I went there the other day, and I will be careful with my tummy with Nando's. And I'm like, but I want to go somewhere different. I want to go to have a Chinese meal or a noodle meal or something. So I went in this other noodle place to ask if they could accommodate my special dietary requirements because I can't have sugar or wheat or yeast or gluten and other things. And they said no because everything's got sugar in it. All the stuff they use, all the stuff like they cook it in sugary stuff, right? So anyway, that's when I went into Guildhall. I did some shopping in Sainsbury's, and then I saw Rose's Thai restaurant. And I was like, oh, I was going to ask in there anyway if I can eat in there because I like Thai food. I love the Thai restaurant in London, and I've never been in there. But I'm getting out of my comfort zone more and more lately because in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club, he's the world's #1 dating and confidence coach on YouTube in the world, if you didn't know. I'm part of his Love Life Club. I paid for a yearly membership. And he does a course talking about how to meet new people. And he talks a lot about, I can't reveal everything that goes on because it's his copyright stuff, right? But he talks a lot about going out to new places, meeting new people, and pushing yourself to purposely go and do things you don't usually do and go to different places. So I've been doing that lately. It's very interesting because I found places I can go to in my city that I never knew that I could go to. So anyway, this Rose's Thai restaurant, I thought, can I go in there? Because it looks like the type of place I might be able to eat. So I went and asked the person with my shopping trolley, and she's very accommodating. She spoke to the manager and then the chef, and they're like, yes, we can do something for you, what you like. And so it was great. So I did some shorts video on this channel. You can go and watch the shorts video of my meal, which I really very enjoyed. It was quite expensive in there, so it's not somewhere I could go all the time. And the other place that I usually go to that I couldn't go to is nearly half the price of where I went today. But the food's absolutely fantastic. They give a service charge, which does bump the price up. Well, they asked for a service charge. I said yeah, because they gave really good service. The chefs were amazing. It was really good. And so it helped me take my mind off my anxiety. When I reward myself, I feel a lot of self-love, and that helps to calm my anxiety down. Because I'm saying you're worth paying money for. You're worth paying a lot of money for. I respect you, Sandra, and I love you. And it also, when I'm talking about my dietary requirements, I'm talking to the woman who's talking to the chef and the manager. I'm finding out what new venues like. This is all occupying my mind. So I'm not focused on my anxiety. I'm getting out of an anxiety-induced state in those moments because I'm thinking about other stuff, and I've got other stuff on my mind. When it's going around Sainsbury's, I'm thinking, what can I buy? What can I buy? What can I buy? No, where is everyone? I've got to not bump into anyone. I've got to pick the best fruit for me, blah, blah, blah. So all this takes my mind off my anxiety. So it's really important that you take your mind off your anxiety by doing things that fill your mind up, that take your mind away, because you've got to concentrate on other things, right? But not do it to the point of like you're completely overwhelmed. You need to be doing relaxing stuff. If you relax, then it counteracts the stress and the anxiety. So that's another reason why I needed to go out for myself and my mental health and my physical health, because mental and physical health are related very closely. One affects the other all the time. So anyway, I went to this new restaurant, new for me, not new into my city, and it was just amazing. And it was lovely decor. I like the toilets. I always, because I spend a lot of time in toilets, I always look at the toilet decor and find it interesting. And just the whole place was nice. And this woman started talking to me next to me. And she started having a conversation with me, which was really nice. She was an older lady, but she was really nice. And I said I did a YouTube show. So, yeah, hello, Susie, if she happens to have watched this episode tonight. She told me her name in the end, and I told her I do YouTube. So she said, what's your channel? So I told her. But I could tell by her face that she was a bit taken aback by asexuality because she didn't know what it was, because the word asexual sounds sexual, doesn't it? I had to explain to her that I don't have sexual attraction to anyone. And she's like, "Oh, right." And then she said, "On your channel, oh, you probably help a lot of women on your channel, don't you?" I said, not just women, there's guys and non-binary people as well." And she's like, "Oh," and I told her that I'd been on the Jeremy Vine show on BBC Radio. I spoke at Oxford University Blue Talks. She's like, "Oh, you're quite well known then." I said, "Well, I am in my niche, yeah." I told her that I'd had over 912,000 views on this channel. I've got like 2,200 and something subscribers, and she's like, "Wow." Especially with over 912,000 views, that's a lot. And so she asked my name and she shook my hand, which I felt like royalty. It's so sweet of her. You know, she's like, really, because I said I write books for asexuals and I got best-selling books as well. You know, I'm a best-selling author. She's like, "Oh," she was quite excited and shook my hand and everything. It's really weird because when I first went into the restaurant, I wasn't sure that she was going to be like that with me, because she gave when I put my shopping trolley over, she kind of looked quite strangely at the shopping trolley. Probably because it might not be where people usually put a shopping trolley. There was like a plant in after the entrance, and I put my trolley under there because I didn't want people to be in people's way, basically, in the, in between tables. And she looked at it, and I know she gave it a strange look, but I think she probably wondered what it was doing there or something. But so it's really nice that she was so approachable and friendly and chatting to me. She was chatting to me about digestive stuff when I hadn't even told her I got digestive problems. That was quite interesting because she told her something that she's uses for our digestion. She told me about the food sheets there. Um, she was really good. She was talking about her back, that she's had a problem with her back, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm recovering from a back injury." I told her it was misdiagnosed. She goes, "Oh my gosh." So, she said she doesn't do physio for her back. She said because it made it worse. I said, "Oh, I like physio because I broke my ankle previously twice and it helped." So yeah, so it was really good, and she said, "Nice to see you," and it was lovely to talk to her. She was going through all the food she that, and so it's good because during that time, I'm not feeling anxiety induced. I'm feeling really good about myself. I'm thinking like, "Wow, I'm getting a lot of respect from this person who's an older person. I'm getting a lot of kind of like complimentary vibes coming from her. I'm getting a lot of good feelings, positive. She's very positive towards me, and she's almost like, oh, she goes, "Oh, my name's just Susie, but your name's really nice." I felt like royalty, you know what I mean? My mum actually had a dog called Susie. It's a nice name. I did say it was a nice name. She's like, "Oh, what's your name?" Because I showed her my channel actually. Went on to my YouTube. So yeah, it was just like a really good experience. And when that happens, it then gives me more confidence, my anxiety decreases, and I think I'm glad I applied for the speaker position now. Even though I'm anxiety induced, I feel I definitely should be speaking on, at the speaking position I applied for. I don't know if I'll get it or not. If I don't get it, I'm gonna be fine because I'm anxious anyway, but I think it'd be good for my career and for me if I do get it, and for asexuality, and for expanding into other things. So it's very difficult if you have anxiety because you have to stop yourself. You have to purposely have to do things in spite of your anxiety, but that doesn't stop the anxiety. Like doing things in spite of your anxiety because you don't want your anxiety to completely take over you is hard, because it doesn't stop you being in an anxiety-induced state. You're having to manage it and work through it whilst still experiencing it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the things are traditional things that are on, like, for anxiety don't necessarily work for me. Like I said, mindfulness is not good if they're trying to get you to focus on the present moment. The present moment, you're feeling anxious because it amplifies it. Tonight, since I've come back from the restaurant, by the way, I actually have done some more stuff, so I've still been productive. I listened to there was a live gratitude session in Love Life Club, so I did that, and that was actually very beneficial to help me relax. That did help put me in a very good state and de-stress. I don't usually get on with meditations, but I do usually get on with affirmations. But this was classed as an actual gratitude meditation thing. And so actually it was very good. I don't usually like all of them in the Love Life Club for some reason. They don't sometimes they make me feel worse. But this particular one made me feel really good because it was all about, they were talking about why meditation is good, but why we need to, they were talking about anxiety specifically, and how to stop anxiety is to be in an attitude of gratitude and to just lie there and think of all the things we're grateful for in life. Like, this could be people or places or things, and just to focus on that, because they're saying when we don't focus on things we're grateful for, that's when we become more anxiety induced. When we make a conscious effort to think of all the things we're grateful for, our mind goes to a different place rather than thinking about anxiety, and therefore it's better. So it's actually a mindfulness meditation session, but instead of it not working correctly for me, it did work correctly this time, because usually mindfulness reminds me of the present moment, and when I'm feeling anxiety induced, that makes me feel worse because it's compounding the effect. But if it's mindfulness as in taking your mind to a different place in the present, that can work for me. Well, it did tonight, because you're actually taking your mind to a different place by thinking about something different than what you're currently thinking, and then you're focusing on that thing in the moment. So I think that can work, but I think the normal just mindfulness, just sitting there thinking about your life as it is, just doesn't work. So, and then I watched at least 3 training sessions in the Love Life Club as well, short training sessions, like training coaching sessions, and they were amazing. And I'm here streaming tonight, so I've done so much today compared to yesterday. And tomorrow I'm going out twice in the morning, which is why I'm streaming early tonight, to take extra morning meet up. And then tomorrow night I'm going to bar 12 again. 12 bar, sorry. You remember I went there a few days ago on my own? They've actually got a meetup on meetup.com where a few people are going together, and it's going to be in the evening where there's live music on. I wanted to see the live music because there was a guy about to do live music in the daytime, but I had to go then because I'd finished my drink. I need to get back home and eat. So I've made sure I'm going out more, because when I stay in more, I focus on my anxiety and my problems, and they compound. So it's better if I go out, relax, chill out, and then I can take my mind off things, so I can come back with a better physical state, which is more relaxed and calm, therefore I can get more done. When you're in such a highly anxiety-induced intense state, because I have generalized anxiety disorder, it makes you like so tense that it's very debilitating. People don't realize how hard it is. It's very physically debilitating, because you're like keeled over. Sometimes you're keeled over in pain, is to be honest with you. Other times you're just so exhausted that you just like out of it nearly, you know what I mean? You can't really do much. And that's how bad it can be. And I'm being real with you here. You know, I like being real with you. My life's not perfect. It does go up and down. Everyone's life goes up and down. Just that people don't always share the ups and the downs with you on social media. But if I can help one person or more on this channel by you taking on board some of these things I've said and applying them to your own life and seeing if they work, and maybe 1 or 2 of them do for you, then it's going to be good, isn't it? I'm going to be helping you. But if I just pretend my life's perfect, which it definitely isn't, or that everything's fine when it isn't, then what good does that do you? It does, you know, like I think people that are raw and real on social media are much better in terms of, you know, you're not living up to someone else's standards or thinking, oh, she's got it all together, her life's great, you know, and you're not feeling any less, you know. I don't like it if people are looking up to people and thinking that they're less worthy or they're less in life because that person's got all their shit together and they're doing all this stuff. Yes, I do a lot of stuff. I have a lot of good stuff in my life. I do have a lot to be grateful for, but I also have mental health difficulties, and I have a lot of physical health difficulties at the moment. I think it's important to be real and honest with you about that. It's important I share what is helping me, so that you can try some of those things and see if it works. And you know that I'm like you. My life is up and down too. It's not all plain sailing. It's not all tickety-boo. I haven't got everything in place that I wished I had in place. But life is a roller coaster. It's up and down. It isn't like this all the time. Even though a lot of people on social media might have you believe that, it's not actually true behind closed doors. I show you a lot of my behind closed doors stuff, right? I don't hold it back because I don't think that's useful. I think talking about tough times in life is just as useful as talking about good times in life. Sometimes it's even better, because if you're having a tough time, it's harder to get through a tough time than it is a good time. But I think it's important to show you that I have good times with my asexual life as well. Just because I'm asexual doesn't mean to say I can't socialize, doesn't mean to say I can't go out, doesn't mean to say I don't have guys interested in me, which I do, doesn't mean to say I can't have fun with my life, because I really do. you know, and even if I have anxiety, I can still do a lot of stuff, but it's hard. Being on this channel does make me try and do even more stuff because I want to show what can be achieved. But I still have to deal with the reality of the fact that I do have mental health challenges of my own, you know? So I think it's important to be honest with other people. That's a huge part for me of anxiety, you know? I have to be 100% honest to people. I can't go around being dishonest or showing you just the perfect or what I might think is perfect, because that's not reality and that's not being authentic and real. People get themselves into a lot of trouble with their anxiety because they're not being real and true. Then they get anxious and worked up about it because they're keeping secrets. They're being like a chameleon. They're not showing who they truly are with people. And so the more you can be your true authentic self, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but when you can't be your true authentic self, or you're not being your true authentic self, that's when your mind starts to crumble, because it's like, oh my God, what if people find out who I really am? Whereas I don't have that to worry about. If people don't like me, that's fine. Not everyone's going to like you. This is part of life, right? So we have to let go of perfectionism. We have to let go of being completely hard on ourselves. We have to give ourselves some grace. If we're in a highly anxiety-induced state, sometimes it's better just to switch off, listen to movies, listen to music, watch movies, chill out, just do something that the brain doesn't have to think a lot about. Because the brain tends to go round and round in circles. And go out, right? If you're indoors all the time, you're festering. Even if you don't feel like going out, go out if you can. You know, maybe like yesterday I couldn't go out, but today, because I've got energy and I started the day off thinking I've got to get myself in an energy state. How do you do that? By doing more energetic things in the first place, by doing movement, by making yourself do things which puts you in a more momentum state, which builds and builds and builds and allows you to do more stuff, by putting on high octane energetic music, stuff that makes you feel good. Not stuff that's depressed, like, I'm so fed up now, I'm so depressed now, I feel blah, blah, blah now. You've got to do things that make you feel jolly and good. Think about what you would do to make yourself feel good usually, and do those things, but do more of them, in excess of them, to counteract the negative emotions you're feeling. So do more of what makes you relax, do more of what feels good, even if it costs you more money, if you can afford it. Right? Otherwise, go for a walk. That doesn't cost anything. Take yourself out for a picnic if you've already got food in the house, cook it and then put it somewhere, and, you know, in a box or something, and then take it out and eat it somewhere. Put a blanket on the ground if it's not raining. Go and have a picnic. Go and visit a friend. Phone a friend up. Go and visit a friend. Go to a meetup group and just chat, you know? Do something to get you out of the home, so you're not festering by yourself and it going round and round and round and round in circles, because you need to break that cycle, break that pattern. I hope this has been very useful, helpful, insightful for you. If it has, please pop a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode, and grab these books on Amazon. These are best-selling asexual books. This one talks all about asexuality and what asexuals really think of love, life, and sex from an asexual point of view. Talks about sexual desire, sexual attraction, arousal, all those different types of things you may want to know about in terms of asexuality and how they relate. And Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual, 78 Life Lessons to Asexual Life, will help you in dating life and relationships. So grab a copy of that now. And if you're interested in reading autobiographical self-help superhero books, then go and grab a copy of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. I'm Sandra Bellamy. It's been lovely to have you today. Take care. If you've got any comments, queries, or questions, pop them down in the comments below, and I'll see you soon on next live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.